Good afternoon if you're dialing in from California. Good morning. It is 8 a.m. here in Singapore, 5 p.m. in California. And today I welcome back Alexandra to our channel. She was here 6 months ago when I visited her in the US around October last year. And today's topic that we have on our live stream, see, got 5 of us right now, is about Tesla's in credit rating upgrade. It's been 6 months since S&P
Already.
Global upgraded Tesla from BB plus to BBB. So today we're going to speak with Alexandra, what this means. What's the impact been after 6 months? Has there been a material change? Are the changes happening under the current where most people don't see them? Alexandra has a lot of insights, almost 30 years in finance, working in banks, working in Moody's as well. The company she talks a lot about nowadays. I wonder why.
Traumatized.
To get an industry's perspective, to really help us understand as long-term Tesla investors or just fans of the mission, what's going on, what could happen, what our blind spots may be, and what Alexandra looks forward to in the months to come. Welcome back to the channel, Alexandra.
Thanks for having me, Darren. Always love being with you.
For those who have not yet met you before, would you want to say a few more words about yourself as I put up your Substack profile on the screen?
Oh, that's very kind of you. Yes, I'm very proud actually of my Substack. I publish there regularly whenever I have something I feel is important to share. So as it says there, I'm a proud mother of 5. My children are now between 19 and 31, 32. Oh, I don't even remember. But I hope they don't watch because they're going to get after me if I don't remember. I worked in finance. I started at Deutsche Bank, and then I moved to Commerzbank, where I managed the biggest European mutual funds. And those two were rated by Moody's. And so that's how I got to meet all these people. They seem to have been impressed because they offered me a job. That was 1997. And I was then for 7 years at Moody's. I was senior credit officer, VP, and I left them in 2003. I then set up my own rating agency in Germany. That's still active. I sold my shares in 2007. And since then have not been in finance anymore. And I feel I have an angle to this whole Tesla community, and I mean, obviously my own investment, but also from a governance, finance, rating perspective that probably nobody else has this same experience. It's quite a boring experience actually, but I do believe it brings something to the community that nobody else has. And so I started investing in Tesla in March 2020. After a test ride. We had electric vehicles before. We had a BMW i3 and we had a Bolt, Chevy Bolt, and then we test drove the Tesla in March 2020, and that was like the revelation. So then from there on, I invested in Tesla. All my money is in Tesla, other than a little bit that I have in Gary's fund and a little bit that I have in FOR. But I mean, tiny bits compared to Tesla. I'm 95% Tesla. And then this year, about a year ago, I sort of developed more my Twitter profile because I saw this injustice of the credit ratings, right? I started doing these tables that we looked at last time. We spoke, oh, there you go. You're so prepared always there, and great. Thank you. So I always do these tables quarterly where I compare the 25, 30 biggest large cap companies and their financial strength, because ratings should be about credit worthiness, so financial strength. And the 10 car makers that have both ratings from S&P and Moody's. And as you can see in those 2 last columns, probably a bit small here on the screen, but thank you. The Moody's rating is still junk for Tesla. Yet the financial strength of Tesla is the best of all these companies. It's the most consistent. They're just the best financial situation of all 25 or 28, I think it is, large caps, and of course of all automakers. And so it's just absolutely mind-boggling that Moody's is still rating Tesla junk. And as you said earlier, we had now 6 months ago S&P upgrade. We may talk a little bit about the circumstances to that. And so that's my little angle. That's where I come from. Not probably the most fun angle. We're not talking batteries. We're not talking gigafactories. We're talking governance and ratings.
I think you bring an amazing trifecta of perspectives. One, from the finance industry, even working in credit ratings yourself. Second, as a Tesla investor. And not just someone who, let's say like Dave Lee, started in 2012, where your cost price is $2. The reality is a bit different. And also as a Tesla owner, your family owns several Teslas as well. So I think all these perspectives are so helpful. I want to acknowledge the people on live stream who are saying hi to you. DRK has been following you many of your live streams. So he says hi, good to see you here again. And of course, you've got kind words from those who are your Substack subscribers. For those who are not yet Substack subscribers, if you actually follow Alexandra, you'll notice that she does not watch mainstream media anymore, even though her husband watches a bit of HCNBC. So she only reads Substack and watches YouTube. So she writes a lot.
True. What I didn't tell the other day is I obliged him to put the earplugs on when he watches CNBC because I don't want to hear it. So the poor guy is sitting there all day with his earplugs in.
Noise pollution.
Exactly. None of it. I'm not taking it anymore.
So all these perspectives help us so much. The first thing I guess most of us want to start asking now is, it's been 6 months. Has there been a real tangible impact to Tesla since S&P Global upgraded?
Oh, sure. So let me resume it. Not everything that happened is only due to the S&P upgrade. And if you allow me, I just want to little bit highlight the circumstances how we got to S&P, because people have the feeling I forced them into upgrading. I mean, I did not. Let's face it. I mean, I'm a big mouth and I'm doing what I can, but I did not force S&P to upgrade. What happened is I started my tables in February, so that was on Q4 2021, and then did them quarterly. I don't know whether that rose awareness with Tesla, or whether Tesla suddenly said, okay, maybe we want a credit line just in case of, we want to make sure we have a rating in place in case we want to have a revolving credit or even issue debt at one moment. But anyway, obviously Tesla reached out to S&P. How do we know this now? Because S&P, a couple of weeks after publishing the rating, also published a study on California employment created by Tesla. So that was one of the S&P subsidiaries who did a really beautiful study on California, the impact of Tesla on California employment. And I do believe, thank you, I do believe that must have been part of the deal, right? That Tesla reached out to S&P, that they started talking, because do remember last year in May, so that was, well, in the middle of all this mess, S&P excluded Tesla from their ESG rating, right? So the tension was at a maximum, much more between S&P and Tesla, but obviously Tesla reached out. And then when you read that rating report from October 2022 by S&P, which came with the upgrade, which is actually published on my Substack if somebody wants to read it again. It was just glorious. They suddenly understood everything. So there must have been communication. There must have been a learning curve. And in any case, in that field, if I would have been at Tesla, or if someone would have asked me, the way that S&P analyzed Tesla, the way they wrote this report, but even prior, whenever we heard the S&P analyst talking about Tesla, he was much more knowledgeable than the Moody's analyst. I mean, we have to factor in that this is always coming down as well to the intellectual capacity of one single analyst, right? And Tesla is such a subject that either you get it or you don't. That there is no in between. You can't just argue on Tesla and compare it to other car makers. As an analyst, you won't get to a good result if you do just that. So the S&P analyst did his homework. Tesla worked with them. Tesla ordered this study, which was independent, but I'm sure linked. And so we had, quite surprisingly, that upgrade relatively early in October. Now, put that in the context. Elon purchasing Twitter, with all the noise that came with it. Then the stock exchange market in a dire situation anyway, the stock going down to 102. So there are other elements that brought institutionals to Tesla. For example, ARK, which is one of the institutionals I follow on a daily basis, they started massively purchasing Tesla again end of November, and then increased all through January. And they're always a good example because they act with ETFs where we can really monitor it on a daily basis. But ARK is by far not the only one. So the only numbers we have is end of December for those institutionals. And the institutionals then went up from 44% end of September to 49% end of December. So these 5% doesn't sound like a lot, but it's huge amounts of money. The question is it only the S&P upgrade? Of course not. Is it also because the price suddenly became so attractive that people that may have been looking at Tesla suddenly felt this is the moment to enter? For sure, and they did well because that was a good buying level. Could it also have been that retail was squeezed out and replaced by institutional? Probably as well. Margin calls. I mean, there were lots of people in a dire situation then. So I think it's a couple of things, but obviously this S&P rating upgrade helped a lot.
You mentioned, again, it went up, institutional went up from 44 to 49%.
49. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So to someone who is not familiar in the industry, that may sound, okay, that's 5%. What is everyone making all that noise about? We're curious to hear, from someone who works in the industry, is there a lag time between a credit rating upgrade and more institutions buying a stock? Like maybe they only reallocate a portfolio once every 6 months, 9 months, 12 months.
Exactly. You're spot on. That is exactly what happens. We're talking here about people that are the big pension funds, maybe even in a not so close but future Warren Buffett. We're talking people that are obviously fund managers, but we're talking people that actually will purchase Tesla for a long-term investment, not traders, not people that do this on a short move like hedge funds or whatever, but people who do this on a basis where they really believe Tesla should replace another stock they have. And so we've seen that with replacements of Apple. I think it was one of the Canadian pension funds that replaced their Apple position partly with Tesla positions. There you go. I mean, how are you doing this? Darren, we didn't talk. This is perfect. You should become a producer. So we see this in a couple of funds, and pension funds is really interesting because pension funds are big chunks. They make these decisions. They then build up positions. So I'm sure this is not the last time we hear of these people, and they will then stay there for a good time. And I mean, like I said, the price was also very, very attractive, right? I think we came down to a PE ratio of 32 or even lower. So at these ratios, it became so attractive. I can also tell because Gary had said that publicly, he at that moment from November to end of January had so many people from the institutional world inquiring with him because obviously they know he is on a daily basis analyzing Tesla and has a very close look at it, and he was asked and on the phone permanently with people that hadn't invested in Tesla before. We're starting to look at it, and even Tony Saragonaghi from Bernstein, who is always very prudent on Tesla and not a very big Tesla lover, said at those price levels it became interesting to purchase it. So I do believe those things helped as well. But of course, the credit rating helps as well because there are still lots of pension funds that do need sometimes even a double rating, meaning both from S&P and Moody's or Fitch, but Fitch is not rating Moody's, so we don't have the choice. We have to do it with S&P and Moody's.
As I just deep dive further in a Canadian example, let's say Canadian pension plan, when they make the decision to start investing in Tesla, would they already be considering Tesla before investment grade, or it only becomes a discussion after investment grade? What typically happens?
Yeah, I mean, with these people, I don't know in particular because I don't know them, but I did check out some of the big California pension funds because they're the biggest here in the United States. And they have a clear line that for bonds, not for equity, they need a double rating, right? They need a double S&P and Moody's rating. That doesn't apply to equity, but it is underlying. So it's the same fund manager, right? The fund manager allocates these sums. And so I don't believe they will go there while there was no investment grade at all, while now they do. Now, let's face it, if they would do the same homework I did, they would have known for a long, long time that this was worth investment grade. But I think it was a combination between now being rated and being at a very attractive price that made it happen.
Very insightful. So as Alexandra mentioned, Tesla is investment grade for S&P, but not yet for Moody's, and Fitch is not as a major in this world. Yeah. So you recently wrote a message to Moody's asking them, like, what's happening? Help me explain a little bit more about why is Tesla's financial policy called this 10%? Tell us more.
This is great. So I was sending out messages on Twitter saying, does anybody have this credit report from end of January? Now, let me pull it back a little bit. In October, S&P upgraded, and then we were obviously waiting for Moody's to follow. Like I explained before, the analyst from Moody's on Tesla is a follower, is by far not somebody who would have taken the initiative first. We always knew that. It would have had to come by S&P. And if you watch videos I did last summer, I was said the first ones will be S&P. But then I also said, okay, the annual review at Moody's. Now, do remember, Tesla does not pay Moody's. So Moody's wasn't going to do something spontaneous just because they felt, they owed us something. Of course not. But they were waiting for their annual review. And I checked, obviously, last year's date, which was the 3rd or 4th week of January. So I said to everybody, don't you worry, we'll have an upgrade end of January. Now, end of January, nothing happened. Not even a message, nothing. So I was really intrigued. I didn't really know what happened. And by the time they, I think it was about beginning of March, I had one of my followers say, look, they issued a credit opinion end of January. So that was the miracle. So what the mystery. So what they did is they had published a credit opinion, but didn't make it public, because I think they were just fed up with us screaming from all sides. So instead of saying, okay, we didn't change the rating, which they should have, right? Leave it unchanged. They did a whole report. They did a nice report. I have it now. I mean, nice, it's ridiculous, but a lengthy report of 9 pages. But they did not publish it publicly. You had to pay $250 to get it, or you had to be a Moody's subscriber, then you could get it. So I was trying to reach out to a couple of people who maybe subscribers or whatever. And finally, this week I got it. Somebody was very, very kind of getting it organized. So not only did I get the Moody's one, I also got the Ford one and the GM one. So I'm currently still in the process of going through them. Exactly. Don't you worry. I'm ready. And so, I mean, like I said, it is still ridiculous. So they didn't change the rating. But I'll give you this in exclusivity. The most ridiculous of all is they have on page 7 on the bottom, and I will publish this in a couple of days, a table where they do their scoring model. And on that scoring model, I have to look it exactly up. They have four factors that I have a certain weight. There's a 40% business profile factor. There's a 20% profitability factor. There's a 30% leverage and coverage factor. And there is a 10% financial policy factor. And so my question was, how do they define financial policy? I found it since, but it was difficult to find. And so I sent them an email and said, hey guys, I got your rating report. I'm sure they're delighted that I got it. How do you define financial policy? And why was that important to me? Because they then give the scores that Tesla has, what they think Tesla has in all these categories. And in all financial categories, Tesla has AAA. Tesla has AAA. And the only two where they don't have AAA is business profile, which means that they think they don't have enough different models yet, which, I mean, we've debunked a couple of times, but we can go there again. And then this financial profile. And so on financial profile, what I now found out, they are seeing 2 risks. One, that Kimball is brother of Elon on the board of directors, and one, that Elon is a key man risk, which I think actually both are not true anymore. I mean, it's so ridiculous. We have a part of the Tesla community screaming that Elon is not present anymore, And then on the other side, we have Moody's screaming there's a key man risk because it's only Elon. I mean, what is it out of these two, right? It's absolutely crazy. And so on those two, so let me just finish on that table. So that table has these different weights. On most of the criteria, they're AAA. On some of them, they're now suddenly BAA or BA, whatever. Then they come to the result. The result is single A2. The whole scoring model gives Tesla a single A2. And then they say the actual rating assigned is BA1. And then when you look at it's absolutely ridiculous, I tell you. And then when they say, let me read it, the notching differential with the assigned BA1 rating is attributable to Tesla's reliance on a narrow but expanding product offering, accelerating competition from legacy automakers, sure, and new entrants, as well as corporate governance consideration. So that's Kimball and Elon. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And then obviously, then you look at GM's report and Ford. I mean, Ford is junk as well, and they're a little bit more honest. But GM, everything is wonderful. Mari Barra is the queen of automobile. It's absolutely crazy.
It is. You're sharing about this, I think, with Herbert and Fazad recently. So if Moody's is a follower, people only make the change when the pain of not changing outweighs the pain of changing. I think you were sharing with I think Fazad earlier on how the credit rating on other auto companies may have to go down if, let's say, there is a bursting of the bubble of the car loans.
Yes.
But how about what would be so painful that Moody's has no choice but to upgrade Tesla to investment-grade credit rating?
No, it's not. There is no event. There is no improvement on Tesla's side that will make it happen. Moody's is not getting paid, and they're making a statement. They're making a statement. You are not playing with us. You consider us irrelevant. We're not going to move. So, I mean, this is ridiculous. I thought by this year, January, they would have understood it. And I think, honestly, and I don't believe Tesla will budge and work with them. Tesla couldn't, I mean, especially Elon couldn't care less. He told them multiple times now that they're irrelevant. Unfortunately, I don't think they're irrelevant yet. I wish they would be, and they should be. So we have to make them irrelevant. And I think the only way we're going to do that is just by shining light on it and blaming them as much as we can. So this time around, this is round 2, I try to be a little bit more strategic. I'm talking to journalists first. I'm trying to explain them what's happening. I'm hoping for good articles in good newspapers and trying to steer up the traditional media they know and where they don't. I mean, they probably don't care about Twitter because that's not where their clients are. But if this ends up in the Wall Street Journal, or if this ends up on Barron's, or if this ends up on CNBC, then they will care. So my strategy this time is we start with the press, then I write to the SEC. Not that I think the SEC is doing what they should be doing, but if SEC picks up the phone and calls Moody's and says there's this crazy lady again, maybe that something happens, right? And we just have to build up pressure again. And like I said, this time I'm trying to start it up with the traditional media first. And I just want to get them there because it's unjust. I mean, we can live without this Moody's rating, right? And I can live without them. I've left them 20 years ago. But this is so corrupt. This is so unjust what's happening here that I just don't want to leave a stone unturned.
Fair. And there are a lot of institutional investors who are waiting for that double credit rating upgrade.
They are. I mean, the more traditional pension funds are, yes, exactly.
And even if someone's very conservative about Tesla, even if someone sees Tesla only as a car company, I think that it's still an attractive investment for a lot of institutions. There was a recent poll where you shared with Gary, asking what do you think a Tesla's delivery is going to be in 2030? Even if people agree that it's 6.5 million or 10 million by 2030, that's still a pretty attractive investment when most other car companies are declining.
Yeah, it is. It certainly is. I mean, I still believe they can get to 20 million. May not be 2030, maybe a little bit late, right? Like Elon always says, we're making the unbelievable merely late. But the trend is there. There's no doubt about it. And there's nobody There is nobody who has a compelling product at these prices, and it's going to be again and again and again. In all classes, from the compact car to the semi, with only 10 models, which is actually the most efficient way of doing it. When I hear people saying, oh my God, they can't do this with 10 models, thank heavens they're doing it with 10 models. Less models you have, more efficient, more cost efficient you're going to be. And I do believe, like with the smartphone, I did one of those tweets where I compared the smartphone market with the car market. I do believe that the utility, the software, the safety, the autonomy will become so much more important than the look, right? I mean, I love my Teslas. I think they look perfect. But somebody may be in love with the shape of the Mazda, or maybe in love of the Hummer or whatever. In the end, it doesn't matter. The shape of your car won't matter if you have the utility and the safety and the range and the software that make your car so outstanding and compelling that nothing else compares.
I agree. So which one do we think is going to happen first? Moody's upgrading Tesla to investment grade, or Charlie Munger says it, screw it, I'm buying Tesla stock.
You do know that Berkshire is actually a huge investor in Moody's, right? It's actually the biggest fund investor in Moody's. So they're actually intertwined. That's a good question. I do believe we can probably shame Moody's into it more easily than convince Berkshire to invest. Now, there will be a generational change at Berkshire. Don't know how quick that comes. Don't have a crystal ball. But with the change in generation, I do believe the window for Tesla will open. So that could be quicker than the other. But honestly, I mean, the Moody's thing is overdue. It's overdue by a year, right? So it's not as if we're asking something that's ridiculous. They are being ridiculous. They are doing it the wrong way, and they're even admitting it in their own paper. So the Moody's thing, I think, with a little bit of good public pressure, we can get there. They won't like it. They will, make as little noise about it as possible, but we will get there. In convincing Berkshire depends on so many other things. It obviously depends on Charlie and Warren Buffett, getting there. And I think they're not. I think Elon is. I mean, imagine how old they are, and then look at Elon. And then, I mean, Elon, I know is, I don't know, 53 or whatever, but he's a child in heart, right? When he does his crazy things, for them who are so old, it's a bridge too much, right? So I still believe that's going to take time. I mean, they've been value investors. I just read this afternoon, they're looking at these regional banks that are in distress now, which is probably a clever move because the Fed is going to guarantee all the deposits, I'm sure. But see, that's a typical move for a Warren Buffett or a Charlie Munger. They see a distressed asset that will have that will have a bright future, thanks to us taxpayers. Let's face it, and they get them now at a heavy discount. That's the thing they're looking for. For them, Tesla at 180 is not a heavy discount. These are multiples they can't phantom, and then they add. I mean, I don't mean what I'm saying, but they see it like that, the craziness of Elon to it, that makes it unattractive. So that's not an option at the moment.
That's right. As long as you're a company where it puts cars in space, they probably think
exactly
what's going on here.
You're so right.
If we look at Apple as an illustration, I mean, nothing follows exactly, but I believe history rhymes. So Apple launched their most iconic product, like the iPhone, in 2007. Steve Jobs passed away and left the company in 2011. Berkshire Hathaway started investing in 2013, 7 years after iPhone, 2 years after Steve Jobs.
And after share buybacks, after they were really comfortable with Tim Cook, who is, in my eyes, not the most eccentric leader. I think he's very conservative. He talks to them in a language they understand. He's never on Twitter criticizing this or supporting that or interacting with us and making fun and sending memes, right? So it's just a completely other type of management. They know they have influence. For the 2 years, 2011 to 2013, Buffett was having direct interactions with Tim Cook. So it took 2 years until he was comfortable with Tim Cook. I mean, this is crazy. Can you imagine taking 2 years until you're comfortable with Tim Cook? And then that happened. And I mean, Elon doesn't have the patience for that, doesn't have the time for that. I mean, Elon wants to go to Mars. He doesn't want, his goal is not to have Warren Buffett in his shareholder count.
That's right. Tim Cook actually was shared famously, right? He actually walked Warren Buffett through how to use an iPhone. I don't see Elon Musk walking Warren Buffett through how to drive a Model 3.
Sure. And can you imagine him would drive up there to where is it, in Omaha in Nebraska with the X and opening the window door, the side doors and asking? It won't happen. It won't.
No, your car.
It's okay.
I cannot.
Exactly.
And I want to use this opportunity just to address that point that Moody's brings up of key man risk. So I believe that great companies, like great restaurant chains, they don't need to rely on one person all the time. What I mean by that is someone like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk, they are chefs. They create the recipe.
Yes.
People like, let's say, illustration like Tim Cook, maybe you assume that some of the leaders in Tesla are cooks. All you need to do to make this restaurant or company successful is to follow the recipe. Just follow a recipe. If you go to many successful chains, they're just following a great recipe over the years. Many food brands we love, pasta sauce we love are the same. And what I think Steve Jobs has done for Apple, Elon Musk is laying out in a more obvious way with Master Plan. Master Plan Part 3 is a 10-year recipe. So even if very conservatively you assume nobody is a chef in Tesla, everyone is just a cook, it is still going to be successful. But the reality is we know that probably at least one or two great chefs in Tesla.
Exactly. I agree. I was going to say that. I think we have a couple of good chefs. I actually was very impressed with the bench of the 16 people that had up there on stage at the Investor Day. I'm watching it again and again, and sometimes I'm just watching bits of it to be sure I understand this all before I move on. And it's really astonishing what he managed to get as a talent pool, right? I think one of the strengths of Elon that nobody ever talks about is what a magnet for talent he is. Lots of people from the best universities want to work from him. But I even know personally people who had a career and gave up everything to be a forklift driver at Tesla just because they want to be part of the story. So it is absolutely astonishing the talent he brings in from all sides at all levels. The second key point I really want to make sure everybody understands is what it's not a nice word, but I really mean it. What a kick-ass leader he is. People fear him. People know he wants to go the extra mile, and they will go the extra mile. And that is because he is what he is. When you have a leader that is less motivated, that is also less angry when it doesn't work, that is less convinced that we can overcome any obstacle if only we work there. If you have this mentality, it triggers down to all levels of the company. There is a little bit of fear in it. There's a little bit of over-motivation in it, but that is what gets it done, that gets the job done. The other thing is that he put in a very flat hierarchy, right? These people work and are not afraid to speak up and say, look, I have an idea how we could do this better or how we should do that better. That with 127,000 people in 4 different locations that have to all produce the most stellar car, it's just absolutely incredible. But I said it before, and I say it here again, that doesn't mean he has to be there all the time. You can make people motivated. You can have your talent magnet function. You can have your making sure everybody's on their toes function. Even if you're not there 40 hours a week, it has nothing to do with it. I don't think he's missing anything important, but these crucial inputs, these very important moments where people feel motivated, go the extra mile for their company, that's where he's really stellar. other than obviously his engineering talent and his vision, no doubt about it. But those two things everybody talks about. I think it's also more organizational.
That's a good point on how it's underrated and underplayed. And despite that, even if you truly believe that Tesla has no other great talent, it is still a great investment. So it sounds like a matter of when and not if that Moody's will upgrade Tesla to investment grade. Sounds like by second half of this year, it's very high certainty. It's very strange to not to. The question I have for us is, what happens if S&P Global further upgrades Tesla? That means if it goes from BBB to A, what does it take and what's the benefit to Tesla, if any?
They should, because I mean, like I said, even Moody's with their dark glasses on gives us the proof that in their scoring model it should be single A already. So S&P, who has more insight, I do expect that they do it at the annual review, which will be beginning of October. What does it mean? I mean, there is a small portion of fund managers that need single A, especially for widow funds and orphan funds and things like that. There's a specific category of funds that is very, very protective because they know that their clientele needs to be protected. And so that could be it. The other thing is, if ever Moody's wouldn't have had upgraded to investment grade by then, that would really make them look ridiculous, right? If S&P would have gone twice the step up, because you have to know, I think it's 94% of ratings are exactly the same level between S&P and Moody's. They always march together. There's always a better lead analyst in one and the other, and then they always adjust. So what is currently happening with Tesla is very uncommon, that you have one rating agency, them still at speculative grade and the other one at investment grade. So if the investment grade improves further, it just becomes even more ridiculous.
I'm curious, as a devil's advocate, would it be easier and better use to channel your energy towards working S&P Global to upgrade Tesla to an A rather than talking to Moody's?
Interesting. I didn't think about that yet. I mean, the analyst in me is so upset that Moody's is wrong, right? That I want to really, get them to it. S&P is wrong as well, but S&P, like I said, there is now a working relationship, and I think after having seen Investor Day, after having read their report in October, where really they had a vision, they understood it, and then them seeing Investor Day, it is evident that anything they asked for has come to fruition and should be honored with an upgrade. I think that's going to be a quite easy one. I don't see why that is not the case. I have to read you one more from the Moody's report just because it's so ridiculous. So they say there is a possibility they will upgrade Moody's. And the factors that could lead to this upgrade are that the sustained EBITDA margin would be of at least 7%. It is 15.8.
Well done,
right?
Moody's.
Exactly. So you're like, what? So you see that, and they have the EBITDA margin in their report. So it's just the analyst sees it all, he writes it all, and then his hierarchy must have told him there is no way, give them speculative grade, right? And that's something the general public needs to understand. At least the SEC needs to understand. So I want to make sure we just put it out there. I mean, will it happen or not? Who knows? But once they are in investment grade, S&P will feel very free. But I do believe S&P will upgrade them anyway. But latest in October, they should be.
Exactly. So as you so recently retweeted, like time's the ultimate currency. We can earn back more money, or as Elon Musk shared with the team in Investor Day, you can waste money, you can raise resources, you cannot waste time. So same thing, if it takes Alexandra and Farzad 5 hours to convince S&P Global to upgrade Tesla to A versus taking 30 hours to convince Moody's to just bring it up to a BBB.
You're right, you're a smart guy, Darren. I'll think about it.
We have our moments. So there are some couple of messages in chat. DRK is saying, did you know that Alexandra and Farzad just started a YouTube channel called The Noisemakers? Sneak preview.
We did yesterday, and I think you watched it because you left a very kind comment. Thank you very much. It's still tiny. I think we're 400 or 500 viewers now, but we said we're gonna end every second week on Friday afternoon chatting our way through. We don't want to talk only Tesla and Tesla stuff that has been discussed that week already, because we all have so much of it, but we want to take it a little bit to a different level. Stuff where he knows more, stuff where I feel I know more, and keep it just a conversation, less than an hour. We don't want to go over an hour. And we told each other this is really the honest channel, right? We don't want to make anything more flowery than it is. We want to say really what's on our heart and what we want to bring out there. So yesterday was the first one. So far we had very good feedback, and but I said very small still we're not doing any publicity or whatever, and we'll see what this takes us. I mean, I love talking to Farzad. He's a very pleasant person, very chatty. So I've met him in person in Austin. It was like a big hug. I felt like I had another child, right? I got another one to all my children. So there we are.
So you'll find a link in the video description, or if one of the community members watching this, just share the YouTube channel link so that others can also just find it as well. I think part of why people listen to yourself, to Farzad, or to Rob Mauer is that the debates are important. The debates help us grow. Steel's an alloy that's forged. Diamond is through heat and not pressure that becomes what it is. And by challenging ourselves, by being our own advocates or devil advocates to play the other position, that helps us build more conviction in our theses. I think someone also suggested to Elon on Twitter recently, can you have a feature on Twitter that shows me another tweet that is the opposite of my argument, that has the highest likes, so that I could learn the best of the other perspective?
That's a very good idea. I didn't read that. That's a very good idea. And I think we should, I mean, I'm engaging not much anymore because they're getting so nasty, especially end of last year, they got so nasty with Tesla Q, because sometimes they may have a point, right? Sometimes they may see something we don't see. I mean, often they're wrong, but I want to keep it civil. The problem with them is they usually don't really keep it civil, right? They get very much into shaming and blaming, and so that's the difficult part about it. But some of them, there's Pops Capital Market and whatever. There are a couple of them where it's worth debating, and when it gets nasty, you just pass on to something else.
I agree. And so in the first episode, Alexandra and Farzad talked about what it means as you grow. You have more people who like you, but you also have a wide variety of people, for better and worse. It comes with the territory. It's not going to go away. So how do we manage it better? There is a very important question in the chat. Raymond's asking, have you upgraded Farzad to investment grade?
Not yet. Wait a bit. Let's see.
BB minus Farzad. Getting there.
Not yet.
So all these that is happening, Tesla also recently announced on Investor Day that yes, after we focus on all our growth, when we have more money, our excess money, the fourth priority, we will do stock buybacks and possibly dividends. We've had so many conversations about this in the past year. How has your view on Tesla doing stock buybacks evolved?
So, I like buybacks. Let's make it very clear. I like buybacks because it reduces the number of shares that are out there. I like especially version B, where it's a treasury buyback, meaning these stocks are not retired, like thrown away, but retired in a treasury account. And if ever Tesla wants to acquire another company, they can revive them for this specific purpose. I think that's the perfect solution, especially for a growing company like Tesla. So I absolutely like stock buybacks, but they were wise not to do it, because at the moment I called for it, the stock was at 220 and then it went down to 102, right? What I would like them to have in place, and I mean, I learned my lesson, it's only point number 4, I got that, but what I would like them to have in place is the buyback program. That doesn't mean you buy back the next day, but you announce that over the next 2-3 years, you will have a stock buyback program. Usually you give a maximum amount, so I don't know what, $20 billion or whatever. I'm just making up numbers. And the number could be quite high because you have a long time to do it. And then you can really profit from dips in the market to do it then, right? You have, like any other company, periods where you're not allowed to do that because there are blackout periods around results. But all the other time, you can use all the dips to do it slowly but surely. And I wish they would put that in place. I do know that lots of people will come screaming at me like, no buybacks, we need the money. Buybacks happen with excess cash, meaning you have paid all your factories, you have paid all your research and development, you have paid all your operating expenditure, and then there's still money, and you have the choice of putting them into a savings account at SVB. Now, I'm just joking. You put it into a T-bill, or you put it into a money market fund, or you do a stock buyback.
Thank you for sharing. If we look into the future, you recently posted that you are excited to see Tesla's proxy statement before its shareholders meeting on May 16th. Tell us why.
So
what's happening?
So there are a couple of reasons for that. Now, the first thing I want everybody to know, because we're Saturday today, those that are holding Tesla stock on Monday after the close will be able, if they have the right type of account and the right broker to do it, will be able to vote on the proxy agenda for the shareholder meeting on May 16th. So that's the first thing. So Monday, look how many shares you have, because that's going to be your voting power. Now, on the shareholder, so obviously we don't have the proxy agenda yet. That's what's coming out latest April 6th, and I'm really looking forward to it. Why? First of all, there are 4 board members that are up for re-election. Election or re-election. There's Joe Gibbons, who is the first time he will be elected. He was brought to the board last year after the shareholder meeting, so now he has to be confirmed by the shareholders. No doubt that will happen. He's the former Airbnb co-founder. Then there is Hero, who is up for re-election because his term of 3 years comes to an end, and I do believe he will be re-elected. And then come both the current chair, Robin Denholm, and Elon, who are up for re-election. Now, I have a theory, and I may be wrong on this one. This is really speculative, but I do believe that Elon will become chair again, and that Robin will step down, and that we will know in this proxy agenda that is going out latest April 6th. So the votes will be on those 4 members, and we will see which one is up for re-election as chair. Why do I believe it could be Elon again? First of all, I think it actually matches more his current position, still having Twitter, the whole star base getting more up to date and needing more of his attention. So I do believe the chair position, which is a little bit, of course, as a chair, you're responsible for more, but it's also a little bit more detached, right? So that could be it. He was obviously chair in 2018, the SEC, and that ridiculous story took it away from him. They should have reversed that. Actually, Elon's lawyer went to the SEC a couple of weeks ago and said, can you please cancel that? They did not. So that was a ban for 3 years, 2018 to 2021. In 2020, so 2018, he stepped down. Robin replaced him. So Robin was there for a 3-year term from 2018 to 2021. Robin stepped up, but she had a re-election in 2020 when Elon could not yet become chair again because his ban was 2018, 2021, right? In 2020, he couldn't have replaced her yet. So she did it for another 3 years, which now comes to its term. So I do believe there is a chance that he will ask to be voted back into the chair position.
This is very consequential.
I know, and I would love it. I would absolutely love it.
What would Moody's think?
Key man risk, my God.
Exactly. Cannot upgrade, downgrade.
Sure, even more. Yeah.
What else are you excited about for Tesla in the next 12 to 18 months?
Oh, there is so much, Darren. The Cybertruck. Can you imagine me? You've seen me. You've come here to Santa Barbara. Can you imagine me? I'm like a little girl for a couple of days before Christmas, thinking I'll have my Cybertruck in front of my house, right? I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous, but I'm so excited about it. And to tell you the truth, lots of my Santa Barbara girlfriends, lady girlfriends, they all want the Cybertruck. This is the car everybody's striving for. I mean, it's much too big. It's much too masculine. It's certainly nothing that we need, but we all want it. So I'm really looking forward to the Cybertruck launch. I think there will be a Cybertruck day. I hope it's sooner than later. I mean, Elon has so much on his agenda, right? Now we have those rocket launches, and I do believe the Cybertruck launch is probably going to be end of the third quarter, but what do I know, right? This is me guessing. So I really like that. I want to see groundbreaking in Mexico, Monterrey, as soon as possible. They seem to think they can put that factory up in 9 months, which is just mind-boggling. I mean, if that is possible, that's absolutely crazy. And, I'm excited for Tesla, but I'm also very aware that the competition is failing at what they're doing. I mean, I actually wish them well. I don't want, Tesla can't have 100% of the car market, so and shouldn't. So I really wish this would work, but I'm excited for Tesla as much as I'm disappointed on the progress the competition is making.
I've shared with some friends that I believe good competition is helping. It will be helpful for Tesla and us as well. And some of the good ones out there, the closest one by far right now is still BYD. Despite all its flaws, despite it's not shaky momentum in Q1, there's some questions about the battery or the rust in Atto 3 in Australia. But despite all of that, they are still as close as it gets to a good competition to Tesla, which helps both companies be more effective.
It does. It does. It does. And the relationship is good. We had a tweet a couple of days ago by Elon himself, who said that we're in good working relationship with BYD, and they should. That there is no reason to not be. And I think we all want as many EVs as possible on the streets, and there are so many niche markets that other people can fill up. Doesn't mean that there is competition for the most compelling product. There is not, but people have different budgets. People have different needs. And if there are cars that can fill these needs as soon as possible, the better it is.
Yes. So we have an exciting lineup ahead in the rest of this year. So the goal is April 20th, Starship orbital launch.
There we go, yeah.
May 19th, Tesla shareholders meeting. Consequential vote for 4 members of the board of directors.
May 16th.
May 16th. Then we would have a Cybertruck event, maybe let's say late Q3.
Yeah.
We should, by end of this year or early next year, have a next-gen product event. Because they were talking about it. They pushed back a few times in Tesla Investor Day. We will have a separate product launch event to tell you more about the products. They don't want to all spawn the Model 3 and Model Y yet.
Yeah, and I think that's early 2024. I don't push them too much on time. It's difficult enough, but I do believe it's going to come quick. And don't forget, in June you come to Santa Barbara to meet me.
That's right. Yeah, you'll see my wife and daughter as well. So I'm looking forward to that.
So looking forward.
And to do all this, we must, the other wealth is health. We must take care of our own health as well.
Yes.
I want to ask you, does Elon look healthier here?
Oh, I saw you did that. Did you do this on AI? I mean, they're so beautiful. And I mean, putting him into Paris, right? Everybody looks relaxed in Paris, right?
Yeah. So this was done with Mid-Journey AI. Like it's quite realistic. You're talking with Farzad on how these kind of tools like ChatGPT, you are concerned, you are worried.
I'm a bit old for this, I have to say. So I look at this and I am amazed. There is no doubt I'm amazed, but I'm also seeing that so many people will be left at the sides because, we have a lot of people on this earth who are not as quick thinkers as our Tesla Twitter community, that are not as instructed. Oh, I love the girlfriend.
It's like, you can just make fake news just using Mid-Journey AI. Elon's new girlfriend.
There you go. So there are lots of people, that are today having blue-collar jobs, or that are having today maybe repetitive jobs, but that's their way of earning money and having a sense to life. Because not everybody, but a large proportion, in my view, of the population sees a sense in life in the work they do. And if suddenly robots and ChatGPT and other AI functions do the jobs much quicker, much better, they get replaced. They get replaceable. So I'm a little bit, it will come. There's no doubt. We can't stop it. I hope it only brings positive change, because it also can, it becomes finally that the machines, or the people behind those machines, that program everything, right? They can have political tendencies. They can have this. It gets a bit complicated. Who manages AI? Who makes sure this is at the right freedom of speech element? Who makes sure this is not partial? And so it scares me a little bit. I mean, I want my robot. I had to do my ironing today. I was thinking, where's my robot? Elon, come on, bring me my robot. I hate doing my ironing. But it's does that mean that all the dry cleaners are gonna go out of business? Does that mean that all the residential home cleaners are going to go out of business? And if you think further like that, suddenly if my robot is going to mow my lawn, then I don't need a gardener anymore. It is a very philosophical subject. I sometimes think about it, and I don't get anymore. I think, and then I'm really frustrated because I have no solution. I want improvement, and I want life to become, more pleasant. But the other thing is, there will be a whole mass of people that will have to find another purpose in life.
That's right. And as Alexandra mentioned, the key word here is purpose. Because in a world of abundance, when technology brings down the cost, we think of inflation now, but when it becomes deflationary, what is our purpose when you can get anything? You want food, you want shelter, you want a companion, it's all there. So what's our purpose in life? That's something for us to think about. I will look forward to yourself and Farzad talking about that as well in Noisemakers.
Good question. Yeah.
I want to take this opportunity to also share someone like Moody's. You talk about key man risk. ChatGPT, like Sam Altman, the CEO, said that they're going to work towards customized AI. So if let's say you take ChatGPT 7, it trains 1,000 hours of Elon speeches, documents, words, and you make an Elon bot on ChatGPT 7. That's a bit crazy to think about, but it's...
And that bot will then become the CEO of Twitter.
The irony. There are some questions in chat. Do you have a few more minutes? We'll take a few questions.
Sure. Go ahead. Okay. Let's do it.
All right. Trooper is asking, what do we think about Tesla's financial strength? Should they offer auto financing to customers, or is it a trap?
So I want them to do financing. First of all, because I don't want them to give this business away. There's a margin to be made, but also think about it. Teslas are, so if somebody would not pay their monthly due, Tesla knows exactly where the car is. Contrary to any car maker in the world, Tesla knows on the bottom of a computer where the car is. They can stop it. They can change the key. They can bring even the car back to the next service center. So repossessions are going to be much easier. So for Tesla to do financing, I think is actually without risk. And I do believe they should do it. The question is only, this will have an impact on the balance sheet, because obviously financing will be then a bigger part of it. They already do a little bit of financing. They did a little bit of financing in China. They did a little bit of financing in the UK. And I think they're doing for select models, X and S, some financing already in the US as well. But I do believe, Drew said they're going to look into it further. So I do believe they may do this on a bigger scale, and then be actually competitive, because I don't know whether you got this, but we currently have March Madness here in America. So when there's not CNBC on the TV, there is March Madness basketball. You have no idea of the avalanche of car ads on the thing. It is crazy. There's one car ad after the other, and they propose financing between 0 and 4%.
Crazy.
So exactly. So this is actually a disadvantage to Tesla, right? Because Tesla doesn't do that. Tesla, when somebody wants financing, they refer them to the bank, and the bank is going to do currently 7% or 8% or 9%. So these car makers are taking a loss on the financing to make the deal, to close the deal. Tesla can't compete in this field at the moment as long as they don't do financing.
I think Tesla has so much opportunities here. People have been asking about what's the ecosystem effect for Tesla. Financing could be it. If let's say they go to Alexandra and say, okay, your family has a long history of owning multiple Teslas, good credit rating history.
Exactly.
If you can't pay your installment next quarter, don't worry. We'll just robo-taxi your car for 3 months.
Exactly. That's it. That's exactly it. Summon it back, turn it around as a robo-taxi, pay the debt, and then give it back to the owner. I mean, there's so much to it that could be very creative. Very good idea, Darren.
Thank you. Raymond has a question. He says, any, I guess, ESG potential influence on Tesla board of directors that we should be mindful of?
So ESG is a topic I absolutely despise. I think it came from a good heart at the beginning. It puts together 3 subjects that I think should have never been commingled: environment, social, and governance. So we have 3 subjects that are soft subjects, right? I mean, these are not measurable in the same way that you can have financial results, or that you can count batteries or whatever. This is all soft. So not only are they soft subjects, but they were put together, and they have been misused the last 5-10 years. I did a video on it in a absolutely disgusting way. I'm sorry to weigh my words, but that's what happened. So you have people using ESG, which I really think started off as an honest initiative, to greenwash a lot of things that shouldn't be greenwashed. And also they are now making progress, because we don't hear them as much anymore, because this rating stories just come up once a year, but they're actually influencing politicians to write laws that these ESG factors become part of financial statements and their definition of ESG factors. Now, if you look at the Tesla impact report, you see that Tesla is doing everything they can for real environment, social, and governance improvements. The factors they choose are so biased. And then when you know that those committees that actually can decide these factors now are oil companies, right? So there are companies behind these committees that try to have all these influence, and they are sponsoring this committee. And those are the German car makers, the oil companies, so many shady actors in today's world that are doing that. You just know that this is all out there to catch Tesla. I just want to warn everybody again. At the moment, it is getting hotter and hotter. The competitors, who think they can still compete with Tesla, are realizing in what a trap they are. And so this gets meaner and meaner. I mean, everybody tells me, oh, Alexandra, you have no idea how bad it was in 2017, 18, 19. True, I wasn't there. But I can tell you it's heating up now again. We will see FUD, and they are trying to come from all sides. And ESG is the most institutional FUD they're throwing at Tesla. And so we all have to be prepared. I'm sorry, this is a boring subject. I will keep on screaming about it. I'll try to be educational about it so that people understand why this is so dangerous. But it is a subject that will keep us busy for quite a time.
Thank you, Alexandra. Tesla is getting to investment grade credit rating dual by the end of this year. The ESG thing sounds like a big thing for years to come.
Yeah.
Wrap up today. You can follow Alexandra on Twitter. You can see her dream team there in the background. And also, you can also subscribe to Alexandra on Substack at alexandramers.substack.com. I'll put a link down in the video description.
It's been a pleasure, Darren. And I want to say also, all of my research is free. I don't have a subscriber button or anything. You just, whatever you want, everything is free. And I want to keep it that way. I want to make sure this is accessible to everybody.
Thank you, Alexandra, for this service. Again, as you mentioned, none of us are Samaritans. We all have our own personal reasons for doing what we do as well. But hopefully, the good, the positive impact outweighs any potential negative that we may bring.
Exactly. That's very important. Yeah,
yes.
It's very important. Thank you.
I have the fortune of speaking with one half of the investment grade half of the noisemakers. I will be speaking with the non-investment grade half, Fazad, on Monday, Texas time, 8 p.m. It will be 9 a.m. Tuesday. We will talk about life after Tesla. And I'll ask Fazad about his investment grade rating.
Tell him he's not yet. He's still joining.
Thank you, everyone in the audience, for joining us in this live stream for your Saturday afternoon in the US, for your early Sunday morning in Singapore and Asia Pacific. Everyone else, take care. Click subscribe to stay updated to more live streams like this. Ending the broadcast now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.